I recognise a few of you, which is nice. Basically, I'm a music educator and performer, and I've been doing this for the past 10 years or so now, which has just flown by. And really, I'm going to start with the sort of inspiration side of what I do. So, in order for me to get my point across, I'm just going to give you a very quick sort of background of how I got into music and why it inspires me, and how I've come to do this as a living. So basically, I've always loved music. It's always been a big part of my life. I come from the Bristol area, which is not too different to London. It's a little bit smaller. I'm sure some of you know it. We still have Banksy and Darth Vader went to my school, David Prowse. I thought that was quite cool. I always wanted to follow in his footsteps. I've always sung at school. I was always in the choir, that kind of thing. I got kind of an art scholarship type thing to quite a good school. Sort of didn't really enjoy kind of the way I was taught art at school. The thing that put me off is when you're at school, I'm sure you've all found this, even creative subjects get taught in a very kind of objective manner, when really art's quite a subjective field. It's more about kind of creating and doing, but quite often our culture is built with education around tests and trying to explain everything. So for me, school education was quite tough sometimes. So what I wanted to do was just create music eventually and arts, and it wasn't always that easy to do that. You know, it was more about doing tests and things. So basically, I kind of fell out of love with art a little bit. I didn't really enjoy music lessons very much, which I know sounds crazy because I do music for a living now. But I don't know if many of you, a lot of you are musicians, so I'm sure you found the same thing. The way music's taught in schools, generally you're taught about classical music. It's very theoretical. You're not always playing instruments. You're often just talking about doing music, which is a bit odd. I didn't really enjoy that side of it very much either. My voice broke. I couldn't sing anymore. So I was in a bit of a weird place where I wanted to make music, but I couldn't. And then I went abroad. I saw my dad's band play. He was someone in my life I never really got to know, but I knew he had quite a successful music career, so I was kind of intrigued by that. And then I really wanted to play guitar after I saw that, so I got a guitar. It's going to sound really bad, but my guitar just sat in my room for 2 years. I couldn't get sound out of it. And I know lots of you have tried instruments before. Some of you probably got quite good at them. Some of you probably thought, I'm not musical. I got the instrument, I couldn't get a sound out of it. And that's exactly what happened to me. So one of the things I want to put across to you today is, even if you don't think you're musical, you probably are. Next up was 2 years later, I made friends with somebody who I found out played guitar, and he sat me down one day and he said, look, this is how you play Smoke on the Water, which is the thing everyone learns on guitar. And he taught me how to read something called tablature, which is this great system. Do sort of look it up. Tablature, often known as tab, it's basically music by numbers. And the really cool thing with it is you don't have to be a very theoretical kind of learner. It's very literal. There's like lines that represent strings on the instrument, and there's numbers that represent what we call frets. I have a guitar here, so I was going to do this on the overhead projector. Basically, you have 6 lines which represent these 6 strings here, and you have numbers on them which represent the frets, which are the metal bits going up the neck of your instrument, and sort of 1 to 12 and above. And with that system, you can play pretty much any piece of music. Students sort of put them online for free usually. And my friend pointed me towards a website, and I started teaching myself the instrument. I had horrible technique for ages. That's the thing. The good thing about getting a teacher is you get feedback. That's mostly what teaching is about. So I try and give that as good as I can. But really, I got there in the end. So I put a band together at school, really enjoyed that, just that whole thing of playing with other people. That's the other thing I love about music. I sort of miss that with art a little bit. When I was doing art, I sat my own in a room, painting, drawing, and I enjoyed it, but it was a bit of a lonely kind of thing, it was a bit antisocial. So with music, you kind of meet people, you relate to them. It could be anyone, they could be from any part of the world, and straight away you've got a connection with someone. I think that's just the most amazing thing about music. I think culturally it's very important from that point of view. So I love putting bands together and kind of creating music with people I didn't know very well. But really I was just sort of playing rock music. I wasn't really becoming what I call a good musician through doing that. And the big turning point for me with my life was I was going home one day and I was at the bus station, and it was quite late at night, and this guy saw I had an acoustic guitar in a case, and he said, "Oh, can I have a go on it?" And I was kind of a bit scared. But I thought, well, he'll probably beat me up or steal my guitar if I don't let him. So I let him have a go on it, and he sort of retuned the instrument and just played the most amazing blues I'd ever heard on the guitar. And I was just like, wow, that's amazing. And I sort of had a little talk with him and got to know him a bit better. And he was saying, oh, there's this music night sort of happening on Saturday. Come down and watch, and you'll get to see lots of good musicians. So I went down nervously with a friend, and it was basically quite near where I lived. There were a lot of session musicians just hanging out there playing music. And I just started going down there and watching them every week. And they played every style of music, which was kind of cool. And I sort of went home, practiced, put the hours in. And after a while, they were saying to me, "Oh, come up and play with us." And I was just absolutely terrified, but gave it a go. Probably sounded awful. And that's kind of how I learned to play it. That's kind of how I made that transition to being a professional musician. Eventually got a little bit better at it, and started gigging and all that kind of thing. I'm going to try and keep to the point of the talk. So basically, I started running a music night. The first night that musician, Charlie Derrick, his name was, came down. He taught my friend Mario over there as well. He's a professional guitar teacher now as well. And I played, Charlie came down, supported my night. And then I went home. I found out in the morning that he died in a car accident that night, which was kind of quite a big kind of moment for me. He was like the guy I looked up to as a musician and sort of wanted to be like, so that was a bit nuts. And I really thought about, well, I really do want to be a professional musician. So I just put the work in a bit more, started going down to music nights again, and after a while people were saying to me, "Oh, I'd like you to teach me guitar." So as he was a teacher and a player, I thought, well, he was kind of my big inspiration. I thought I'd like to give it a go, and I really enjoyed it. So I took on a couple of students. After a while, got a job teaching in a music centre. And yeah, that was kind of how I got into teaching. Next thing I did was I did a teaching qualification with access to music. That was a really good experience because it got me thinking about the theory of teaching. That was quite a few years after I did that. And even if you've been teaching a while, I'd recommend you do some kind of qualification because it gets you really thinking about new approaches to it, and it really opens up the doors to other jobs. I work for Kingston Music Service, teaching in schools now because of that qualification. Tower Hamlets Council hire me to run courses and things in East London area. I run a lot of adult courses sort of around Richmond. Oh, okay, I'll very quickly go through my last points. What makes me unique? I guess because I'm coming at it from a pro perspective, and I try and include all styles in what I do. Biggest challenge I find is that people don't have that belief in themselves. They think, oh, I've tried an instrument, I can't do it. So I'd say the biggest challenge is convincing people just to try a guitar lesson, and it's really easy. Within a few minutes of it, you'll be playing a tune, and it's quite a rewarding thing. My dream is to sort of put out what I do on a broader scale. I've got a website. I was going to show you sort of how that works. It's quite interactive. It's got videos on it, and sort of audio examples. It's got all the music on it. That's quite cool. And finally, my question to you is, are you happy doing sort of what you do? Because for me, my job makes me really happy. It's very rewarding. A lot of people I know go to school and they end up doing something that they think they should be doing because it'll pay well and it'll give them security. So have you found that thing you're naturally good at, that thing you love doing? So my question is, are you in your elements? And what I mean by your elements is the thing that comes naturally to you. So I repeat myself there. I think that's the end of the talk. I probably missed the performance part, but thank you. I'll be performing later.
We need to hear you now.
Go on, James!
Okay, I'll keep it short then. It's weird because I know a lot of you. I don't know why it's nervous doing these things. Okay, so I do play guitar, in case I didn't put that across. I sing a little bit as well. I play double bass, that kind of thing. Might be doing a bit of that tonight. This is something that's a bit more vocal. You were my sun, you were my earth, but you didn't know the ways I loved you, girl. No, you took a chance, you made other plans, but I bet you didn't think that they'd come crashing down. No, you don't have to say what you did, I already know, 'cause I found out from him. Now it's just too late for you and me. We'll never be. Don't make you sad about it. Told me you love me. Why did you leave me all alone? You told me you need me when you call me on the phone. So girl, I refuse. You must have me confused with some other guy. Your bridges got burned, and now it's your turn to cry. Cry me a river, cry me a river. You cry me a river, cry me a river. I know that they say some things are better left unsaid. It wasn't like you only talked to him now as a girl. Don't act like you don't know it. All of these things they say keep messing with my head. You should have picked honesty, then you might not have blown it. You don't have to say what you did, I already know, 'cause I found out from him. Now it's just too late for you and me. We'll never be. Don't make you sad about it. Told me you love me. Why did you leave me all alone? You told me you need me when you call me on the phone. Say, girl, I refuse. You must have me confused with some other guy. Your bridges got burned. Now it's your turn to cry. Cry me a river, on the phone. Girl, I refuse, you must have me confused with some other guy. Your bridges got burned, now it's your turn to cry. Cry me a river, cry me a river, cry me a river, cry me a river. Oh, oh, your bridges got burned, so I guess I'll be leaving. I said, oh, oh, your bridges got burned, so I guess I'll be leaving. Oh, oh, your bridges got burned, so I guess I'll be leaving.